What are we thinking to the new area to film? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about Professor Snape. There is such a huge divide in people about this man, and it's really a real strong divide. Basically, he's a bit like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him, and it's such a strong divide. Now, I am yet to meet someone to say, he's all right. Literally, nearly everybody I've ever spoke to or comments I've read about the bloke, they either really strongly love him, really strongly hate him, and I've seen so many arguments about this man. My thoughts on the bloke, if you don't know already, I love Snape, but there are things that I don't like about him as well. So I decided to write a pros list and a cons list, put them together. I will tell you now, my pros do outweigh my cons. So if you want to hear my pros and cons and you want to know why I love this man so much, then keep on watching. And if this is the first time you're seeing my face, hello and welcome to my channel. If you would like to become a Potter Poppet with us, please click that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. But yeah, let's talk about Snape. Okay, we're going to start off with the cons list, and the first thing on my cons list is that he favoured the Slytherin house. He didn't like any of the other houses, especially Gryffindor, and I'm assuming that's because of Harry. This would make it extremely unfair of him when it came to the house points, giving them out and deducting them. I mean, yes, of course he's going to want his house, Slytherin, to win, but that was cheating, Snape. He wasn't very fair as a teacher. If his pupils didn't get something right with a potion, instead of encouraging them and helping them, in his eyes, if they didn't, do it exact, they were a complete failure. Now, there's being tough, but then there's also being really unfair, which is what Snape was. Teachers are supposed to be there to teach. Therefore, yes, set the instructions of what they want them to do in the lesson, but they're also there, should be there, to obviously go through it with them if they don't quite understand the instructions, and if they get it wrong, encourage them to try again. But Snape didn't do this. He mainly bullied Harry throughout the series, but he did also bully other students, especially those that were friends to Harry. I mean, we can all kind of guess that obviously this is because Harry has that massive likeness towards his dad. He's so much like his dad. And obviously Snape didn't like his dad, and obviously because as well he loved Lily. But he shouldn't have behaved towards Harry like that. That was very wrong, and you don't bully children. And I am a true believer anyway that, if somebody doesn't speak to me, it doesn't mean I won't speak to, I don't know, their cousin or their brother or their sister anymore, because it's not them, it's a completely different person. And it was very unfair to treat Harry the way he did when Harry had done nothing wrong to Snape. And the last thing on my cons list was the fact that Snape used to be a Death Eater, which is worrying for anyone. Now we're going to move on to the pros list. It is slightly longer, and I really think people should listen to this. So Snape did actually protect Harry, so he wasn't all that bad towards Harry, and I do have a few examples of this that just came to mind. So in Harry's first Quidditch match, obviously Professor Quirrell was trying to... Quirrell? I was doing so well. He was trying to obviously jinx Harry's broom, but Snape was trying to do a counter curse on it so that Harry could get on with the game. He was protecting him. So in the scene where obviously Professor Lupin in Prisoner of Azkaban turns into a werewolf. Oh my gosh! Werewolf. When Professor Lupin turns into a werewolf, obviously Snape comes out to tell Harry off because obviously Harry attacked him in the Shrieking Shack, which, yeah, okay, you would want answers for that. But when Snape saw Professor Lupin as the werewolf, what did he do? He shielded Harry, Hermione and Ron. He could have run off and thought, sod it, if he was that bad. And let's not forget how sassy Snape got with Dumbledore when he turned around to Dumbledore, and I don't know if I'm quoting it right, but it was along these words that he said, the right words, my goodness. He said along these words, you have been raising Harry as a pig for slaughter. And obviously he just looked genuinely concerned in his voice and his face. He He sounded concerned. Which then obviously Dumbledore's reply was something along the lines of, "Don't tell me you now care for the boy, Snape." So yeah, they were just a few examples off the top of my head on moments where Snape protected Harry. There are more, obviously, but I just wanted to give a few examples. If he really, I mean, obviously he does look like he hates Harry so much, but if he hated him that much, he would never put him in danger. Let's put it that way. Snape was a very brave man. He used to be a Death Eater, but still acted as though he was a Death Eater and one of Voldemort's followers, just so that he could be Dumbledore's spy. I mean, let's face it, he could have just ran and hid when he didn't want to be a Death Eater anymore. He was really heartbroken over Lily. He could have just ran and away and started a life. He would have had a really big head start because it took ages for Voldemort to obviously eventually come back. But he didn't. He stayed at Hogwarts. I think they all knew that something that Voldemort hadn't really gone, but Snape wanted to stay back and do the right thing. I mean, let's face it, Snape is a very clever wizard. He could have managed the hiding part down to a T. And let's not forget, he was also a member of the Order of the Phoenix, which obviously he did want to be. So you had this man that wanted to help Dumbledore and Hogwarts and Harry. He wanted to help Harry. Whether you like that or not, he did want to help Harry. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been there. So obviously, he was still pretending to be a Death Eater. He was risking his life at every meeting with Voldemort when Voldemort came back. But he did what was right, and he followed Dumbledore's instructions. Yes, he was a Death Eater. Used to be. I personally think he proved himself enough that he wasn't a follower of that no-nosed egghead anymore. I mean, people make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Some make bigger mistakes than others. But he did prove and turn his life around. So he did so much for Dumbledore and Hogwarts and Harry. We've established that in this pros list. He put his own life at risk, which obviously in the end, sadly, his life was taken by Voldemort. And like when I said a little bit ago, he followed everything Dumbledore wanted him to do, including killing Dumbledore himself. That scene, the look in his eyes, the way he said that spell, he really didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it, which I don't understand actually. He didn't want to do it. I could see in his face he didn't want to do it. But it's just dawned on me just now, when you cast the Avada Kedavra curse, you have to mean it for it to work, don't you? But I truly believe Snape didn't want to do it, but he is also quite a blank-faced man, so maybe it was a case of, I don't know, a case of that he was able to shield those feelings that he didn't want to do it. I mean, like I said, he's a clever wizard, but I know, well, I don't know, nobody knows, but I do genuinely believe he really didn't want to kill Dumbledore. He did it as an instruction. Now, there are no excuses whatsoever for Snape's behaviour towards Harry and his friends, the other houses, the way he treated students. You do not bully children, end of, no matter who you are. There is no excuses for that. Bullying children is so wrong on so many levels, but just hear me out, right, okay? Harry named his son after him. And his words were to his son that he was named after, obviously Dumbledore with him, two of the most bravest men he knew. Even Harry didn't think Snape was that bad once he learnt about him. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I first watched the Harry Potters, I thought, wow, I do not like that wizard. But obviously, as the films and books go on, you realise a few things, and it's like, oh, okay, Snape's actually on our side here. But people that have watched the films 100 times and read the books a million times, you know, or just watched the films or just read the books, there are so many people that have so much hatred towards Snape, even when they've learnt, but they hold it on the bullying. Again, there is nothing to excuse Snape of that behaviour. Maybe he was just like tough love. Maybe he wanted to prepare Harry with tough love. I don't know. And the students, because obviously maybe he knew, like Dumbledore knew, there was going to be a battle at the end of it all. Because of the prophecy at the end of the day. Maybe. But for Harry to name his son after Snape and tell his son what he did about, you know, one of the bravest men he knew, I don't think Harry thought he was that bad. And I don't think we should either. I'm not saying that you should love Snape, but I think you should relax the bad opinion you have on him just that little bit more. So there we have it, guys. That was my views on Snape. That was my pros and cons list. Obviously, my pros outweighed the cons, and yes, doing this list has not made me change any sort of view on him whatsoever. I love that man so much. Like I said, you know, there's no excuse for the behaviour towards the children, and obviously he cheated with house points and things like that. But when you look deeper into the fact that he saved Harry a few times, and well, he was a good man. He was generally a good man. He was. Let me know your views on Snape. I would love to hear them. If you've got any pros or cons to add to the list, let me know. I'm not up for debate. Everybody's got their own opinion on the man. I just wanted to voice my opinion, and obviously I wanted to question myself about it, hence why I did the pros and cons list, because I thought, oh my gosh, if my cons are bigger than my pros, then maybe I don't like this man as much as I did. But I just thought about having a think about Snape for a bit. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, please give it a big thumbs up for me, and I will speak to you all in my next video. Bye, Poppets.